Marshall Stamper. With
Tarek Finn
Tarek Finn.
over here, taking off some slippers.
I'm moving slow today. I'm talking slow today. Yesterday was my birthday. I celebrated with a Shark Tank in the morning. 4 tough boys killing me. 33 minutes to celebrate 33 years. Last night, cigar lounge. I'm sleepy. But the show goes on. We have good news for you. Some ideas and things. And Tarek, what's up?
The legend, Mark Coleman.
Oh, Mark Coleman.
So UFC legend Mark Coleman, previous heavyweight champion, he just survived a fire where he escapes from a fire, runs back into the house to save his parents, pulls his parents out of the house. They survive. Tries to save his dog. Dog does not survive. And he is in critical condition after this, assuming from all the smoke inhalation. He gets helicoptered out, airlifted out to the hospital, where he is put into a medically induced coma for 2 days, and he finally wakes up. And there's just today, there's a post of him saying he's the happiest man in the world, and he's so happy, so glad that his parents are alive. He's so lucky. So very excellent moment.
What a tearjerker.
Yeah, very tear-jerking moment.
And were you watching UFC when Coleman came in? Was he before your time?
Let me see.
He was back in the day.
He was back in the day. I wasn't into the UFC so much back then, but I did go back and I did see some of his matches, and he was
incredible.
He was smashing guys.
He was the first ground and pound expert.
Yes.
Which ground and pound to this day is one of the most dominant things you can ever do.
Yes.
That's what Khabib, his whole thing, Islam Makhachev, his whole thing.
Yeah.
Take a man down. You don't really have to pass his guard. You can go half guard, drop elbows, punch him in the face. Saw a little bit of it last weekend. Kevin Holland, the only punches he landed on MVP. His MVP fell down. Kevin Holland gets on top, ground and pound. So shout out Mark Coleman, absolute legend in the game. He's kind of one of
superhero.
One of his more famous moments is he's fighting in Japan, and he had a fight against Fedor Emelianenko, and he lost. You know, everyone lost to Fedor back in the day, and Mark Coleman brought in his 2 girls, like little children, to meet Fedor like after the fight. A very kind of surreal, weird moment of like, this is the man who destroyed me moments ago.
I was mixing up Mark Coleman with Mark Kerr a little bit. Yeah,
Similar fighting style.
Yeah. Both smashers. Mark Kerr, the Smashing Machine. Great documentary on Mark Kerr, by the way. It's called The Smashing Machine. If you ever want to see kind of a behind-the-scenes, kind of ugly look at athletics and how some things fall apart for some of the best people. Some of the people that are the best in the world at one thing don't manage everything well.
Yeah. And that's kind of interesting documentary because I think they wanted to be like, oh, this guy's great.
Yeah.
And then there's like him just trying to get steroids in Japan. Yes. And like, do you know needle? It's like, it's rough.
They caught it just in time. And this was like they caught Mark Kerr at his decline.
Yeah.
It was perfect documentary.
And supposedly it's going to be a biopic starring The Rock.
Nice.
In production.
Nice.
Pre-production?
And The Rock will not do any steroids for this one.
The 50-year-old Jack man.
Yeah. There'll be none of that involved. Okay, The Rock is a hero. So that's a great story. Good thing to wake up to.
Yeah.
We're on the opposite side of the world, so we get news 13 hours into the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was a cool thing to wake up to.
So maybe he hasn't woken up in your guys' world. he's alive and well in ours. He's still in coma in yours.
Over here in the future. Past UFC, we had excellent UFC 299.
Oh, one of the best ever.
Very good fights. We have a lot of thoughts on this. One news item that came out. So Marlon Chito Vera, he faced Sean O'Malley for the lightweight, or sorry, bantam. What are they?
Bantam.
Bantamweight. For the bantamweight belt. Chito Vera was not able to pull it off.
He got destroyed.
He got destroyed. He got outstruck. Sean O'Malley picked him apart. It is assumed that Chito has the advantage in the grappling side, but he did not. I don't remember him even shooting for. He didn't shoot for a takedown. I think
pure striking match.
I think the striking might have just made him gun shy. The corner, his corner was just saying, "You got to go for it. You got to go for it." But I understand. Like sometimes with striking, it will make you shy after getting hit, and wherever you move, you're getting hit. He was just shelling up whenever Sean would even feint. So yeah, best performance I've seen by O'Malley as well.
Absolutely, man.
I was not fully on the O'Malley train before this. I don't know if I am yet.
What do you mean?
But
he's incredible.
He is incredible. But,
and one thing, for Chito's, in his defense, he ate a huge knee in the second or third round. O'Malley even said, like, "Yo, I broke that dude's face with that knee." It made a terrible sound. Rogan in commentary said it was like hitting a watermelon with a baseball bat.
Yeah, you could hear
and you could see
sound.
Chito's face deforming throughout the fight. His eyes after that round, he wasn't there. His coach caught on. He was like, "Here, man, here."
Yeah.
Chito's.
Yeah, so
he was definitely.
He could have a broken orbital, or he could have
broken something.
He could have broke something.
His brain was rattled, so it's hard to have good game plans after that. But he did come back. His best round was the fourth round. He came out guns blazing, throwing kicks and knees. But it was O'Malley's night. Absolutely. Pitched a shutout. 50-45 across the board.
It was a beautiful
50-44 on one card.
It was a beautiful performance. Beautiful performance. And if the night wasn't going bad enough for Chito Vera, he got home to find out that his house had been broken into. They say probably before the match, or maybe shortly after they left for the UFC. He posted a picture of his door that was broken. Somebody had kicked in the door. They took some things. In his post, he said something like, "Some important items were lost. These are only material things, but these were gotten, or these were attained through hard work." And he also said, "I will find the person who did this." I don't know if that's going to happen, but very, very upsetting.
Terrible story.
Yes, terrible story. And while I was reading this, there was one of the commenters said he does security. A security guard, and he said that he would often get a call for people that are doing out-of-town weddings, things like that, to just come watch the house for a couple days. He said it's not very expensive, and the person in this post said, "Hey, if Marlon Vera called me to watch his house, I would have done it for cheap." That was his call. He didn't say free, but he did say cheap.
Not free.
Yeah.
If it's free, he's gonna enter the house.
Yeah. So this is something to consider, which is like maybe not something everybody considers. It's hard to think of all the evil in the world.
It sucks.
But yeah, especially for these high profile guys.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be, everybody knows that you are going to be performing at UFC 300. Not that I'm trying to give anybody ideas.
Oh my God.
But the fact that it happened, I don't know. It highlights a hole that some people might exploit. So when people know that you are going out of town, that is the best time to
and
go.
one factor in this is the UFC does an embedded show, which is like a vlog the week of. So his movements are tracked almost in real time, right? It shows him driving to practice. I grew up in that area. I know Orange County very well. And without scheming, without evil plans, I was able to place his neighborhood very fast. He's in Huntington Beach. He drives to Costa Mesa. I know that street. So I couldn't find his house, but I'm sure if I was thinking along those lines, I could have paid more attention and found out the area. do a quick drive around. Oh, there it is. I'm sure it's not that hard, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's something to be aware of. It sucks. It does suck that, and I mean, this is not most people, but you only need one guy.
Yeah.
You only need one guy to come up with this plan. So something that high profile fighters. I mean, if you're on the prelims card and you're not doing that, maybe this is not that important now. But if you are a person that, I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of followers and eyes are on you, which is a strange thing about fame. Not that I've ever been famous, but I would imagine that day to day, a lot of things don't feel different, and you may not immediately notice the attention that you have on you, but people aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
People do act differently around famous people.
Absolutely.
Like the fact that people just want to meet you for no other reason that you're very good at punching people, or people want to come up to you and maybe come with business ideas, or you're seen as an opportunity, and rightly so, because you have more influence, but it's
weird.
Yeah, it's not all good. It's not all good. So I feel for Chito Vera. He has a very good story of coming up, working very hard, making a lot of sacrifice, leaving his family for a period of time to come over to the U.S. and start fighting. And
leaving his family means like it kind of sounds like he like abandoned them.
Yeah.
No, he moved to America when they didn't have money to move everybody.
That's what I mean. Yes.
And I was lucky enough. I was training with him at that time at 10th Planet Irvine Team Oyama. You see on his arm, he has in Chinese we would say Dashan. In Japanese, it's Oyama. That was the team at 10th Planet Irvine. Colin Oyama, head coach. Chito Vera fought in the UFC, won a couple fights, got a performance bonus, and with the performance bonus was able to fly his wife and kids to California. So I've some heart connection to this man. I feel for him. It was great to see him get his opportunity to fight for the title. It was not his night. He was not close. But I have faith in that man. He's so tough. He's so good. He's so dedicated. His family is so supportive. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But
yeah, he's a great story, and that's rough. Rough that happened. I feel for you.
Chito, we know you're watching. He's definitely not watching.
Yeah. Also on that card, one of the stories, I guess, maybe not a big story, but among anybody that watches and is into grappling like we are, the Dustin Poirier match. What I loved about this match was, first of all, you have kind of an older, seasoned fighter against a young, up-and-coming lion.
So dangerous.
And I'm always cheering for the old guy in these matches, because it's like the odds are stacked against them. It was a rough fight for Dustin. It was kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
He had a few opportunities where he would get the front headlock position and do what's called a jumping guillotine. So if I was to take the front of Marshall's head like this is the guillotine position, or the front headlock position. But to get it tighter, possibly, or to loosen it, you jump onto the person's body and wrap your legs around them in order to get more connection to them.
Yeah.
Now, this sometimes works. It works if you have the perfect bite from the beginning of the guillotine. So you have to have your hand pretty deep in to consider jumping or falling back. But in the process of jumping and falling back, even if you have a tight guillotine, you can slip from the jumping. Or if it is not perfect from the beginning and now you go down to the ground, it's easier for that person to escape the guillotine, and now they're on top of you.
Yeah, which in jiu-jitsu is not such a big problem. I'm a guard puller by nature. So if I got a front headlock on someone, I jump guard, they slip out, it's okay. You're in my guard. We can make things work. In the UFC, the stakes are too high, because the guy on top can land punches, which Benoit Saint-Denis, Poirier's opponent, he did. And the memes surrounding this are just insane, because how many times did he jump guillotine? 4, 5?
At least four. Yeah.
At the end of round 1, he's in his corner. You can hear his coach very clearly,
Don't jump.
don't jump guillotine. 10 seconds into round 2, he jumps guillotine.
And then and that was the worst one, because that guillotine he jumps. So he jumps the guillotine and he falls back like this, and then my man pops his head out, and now we have a problem of getting ground and pounded.
Yeah, which is a huge problem. It's terrible. It's one of the worst things that can happen. As we alluded to, Mark Coleman invented that style, or not invented, but made it popular.
Yes.
It's the most dominant thing you can do, is be on top of someone, raining down punches. Luckily, Poirier, longtime jiu-jitsu black belt, was able to get back up.
Yes.
And then even in the final flurries of the match, he had it again, and he was like, let it go, and then landed an incredible combination to knock out Saint-Denis.
Yes.
And everybody's favorite fight, absolutely incredible.
It was an incredible fight. And John Anik pointed out that he has never finished anybody with a guillotine. This is like, he has to check this goal off. Like, it was crazy.
And then they asked him after the fight, did you consider not doing that? He's like, oh no. He says, I ain't never gonna stop jumping guillotine.
Yeah, and I can only think of, off the top of my head, I have a picture in my mind of Benson Henderson finishing after jumping the guillotine, but both guys are standing. So, meaning that he gets the guillotine and he jumps onto the guy, and they're both standing and tap while they're both standing with legs wrapped around, but not falling back into the guillotine. I've seen this a few times. It almost never works. There was the one that sticks out most in my mind is Tyron Woodley against Wonderboy, where he falls back into an arm in guillotine, and you could hear Joe Rogan say, "Oh, he's gonna go out. He's gonna," but he just doesn't. He didn't have it. And once you're on your back,
he didn't have it.
Once you get to this position, you can. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on guillotines, but I'm kind of an expert on guillotines. Like, I wouldn't be like ADCC level, but I would probably be in maybe the top percentage of the world of guillotines.
Top 1% of all people ever.
Of humans. Top 1% of humans on guillotines.
You spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah, and you cannot finish a guillotine against an experienced guy if you are on your back. So the only way, if you do fall back, with the example I'm talking about with Tyron Woodley, where I'm watching it and saying this is not going to finish, is he's on his back, Wonderboy's head is down here. The only way to finish a guillotine, you kind of have to be on your side. Your chest and your body have to be weighing down on the neck, and you have to have the force of gravity closing that hole on the neck. Another thing that Dustin might consider, which is so watching this match, it got me down another guillotine research rabbit hole.
Nice.
And people seem to be emphasizing, first of all, stay standing. Keep the guillotine standing. What John Jones did against Machida, that was what's called a power guillotine, but he had Machida against the fence.
One of the most crazy images ever. He guillotined Machida, stuck him against the fence, and then dropped him limp.
Yes, and it looked like he was dead.
He looked like he was dead.
It was amazing. One of the most amazing finishes ever.
Yes.
But yeah, you got to stay standing, and that would be my number one thing. If you can stay standing, and there's this strange grip, I still have to play with it to make the high elbow guillotine easier, where this elbow comes on top of the opponent's shoulder. But yeah, standing guillotines are possible. I generally don't find that the success rate is going to be much better if you go down to your back, and especially in MMA, where they're both slippery.
Yeah.
Everybody's slippery. Nobody's
gloves,
Yeah,
right?
nobody's wearing a shirt. Yeah, and you have gloves. So with the glove, it's very hard to get a deep grip. And with the guillotine, you're grabbing your hand like this. So with the glove there, now you have a grip like this. So it's not going to be you don't have a good grip on your hand. It's I can't remember what the guy's name was. There was a guy. Remember he had a hairy chest, but he would shave it in the shape of an arrow.
This is,
Was it Saunders?
Brian Barberino.
Okay, I'm not sure if it was him or I'm thinking it might have been Ben Saunders.
Okay.
But he just said he doesn't believe in the guillotine.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't believe in the guillotine. He doesn't ever tap to the guillotine.
What?
And he would get, and I would see in matches where guys would try to guillotine him, and he would just be like, "Nah,
It's not real.
yeah, it's not." Yeah, some people don't think it's real. To me, John Jones proved it's real
It's definitely real.
by
By sleeping the cheetah.
also, and here's the craziest thing, me saying that falling into the guillotine doesn't work. I've been choked out unconscious in practice 2 times. One was from I was a white belt, Ezekiel choke. I got Rocky. Ezekiel choked me. He was in my guard, and I remember as a white belt, coach telling us, "Do not attack anything inside the guard. It doesn't
Good
work."
advice.
But the Ezekiel choke is the exception. So me getting choked, I'm thinking he's in my guard. Nothing's gonna work.
Yeah.
And then I wake up.
Yeah.
And then the other one was I got guillotined. The guy falls back, and I, probably because I was already falling asleep, I walked to the wrong side.
Oh.
So rather than staying on this side in pressure, I walked to this side, and then I wake up with, man, you were shaking. Yes. So me saying that this doesn't work, sometimes it works, but it's very, very low probability. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend falling into the guillotine or jumping the guillotine, even though this is the last time I was unconscious was from a guillotine.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about, like, so if you have something, right? So a guy shoots in, you got a grip on his head, you have a bite, and then there's a whole bunch of like judo things you can do to flip them over so you end up on top.
Yes.
Is that the move?
Yeah, I think if you could maintain
pull
if you
butterfly,
can maintain the control of the headlock, yeah, you can. Especially if you have one arm in, you can probably flop them around or even get them against the fence. It's not going to be easy against high level guys, especially if they already have like one of your legs, which is where a lot of guillotines are attempted.
Yeah.
Somebody already has a leg. And in that case, if you're already going down, the guillotine is not a terrible thing to attempt while you're already falling down. But once you touch that ground, if it's not perfect, you gotta let go and try getting up. Yeah, because you're gonna be keeping yourself in a bad position, and as you're holding that head and tiring yourself out, he could be mounting you, and yeah, I don't love that as a guillotine aficionado.
Oh yeah.
Who has I guess kind of perfected the arm in guillotine more recently. I was never arm in before that, but yeah, it's just a hard move to finish. It's to me the great thing about a guillotine, especially in standing or even just like self-defense in general, is that you're not really fully engaged. Like you're just grabbing the head, and you could still do it standing. And you could also give yourself distance. But yeah, other than that, it's a very risky move when you're both on the ground and you're on the bottom and you're on your back.
Yeah. Pulling to your back in MMA is big risk.
Yeah, I wouldn't even I don't even know if I would recommend it in jiu-jitsu.
Being on your back?
Falling into the guillotine, pulling guillotine. I've had one, I've had this happen to me in a match once in a tournament. and I was just able to do the old, what is that? You remember? What is that called? The guy from California, he invented that choke.
Von Flu.
Yes, Von Flu. Yes, Von Flu. Although he didn't invent it, but it was named after him. Yeah, the Von Flu choke. So I've had somebody jump guillotine on me before, and I was able to just Von Flu and get out. So yeah, it's not
Guillotine at your own risk.
Yeah, it's not guillotine always, but fall into the guillotine and jump guillotine at your own risk.
Use it to get on top.
Yeah,
That's good advice.
Use it to get on top. Yeah, or if you're on the bottom, you could try it already. But yeah, it's not. I don't recommend what Dustin Poirier did. And luckily for him, it worked out. It's a funny story.
It's
now.
great.
It's a funny
It's so
story
fun.
now because he won.
Yeah,
all of
'cause
these
it worked
things.
out.
Yeah, all of these things are great when you win, but. Yeah, your mistakes are, ha ha ha. Well, remember when that happened? And yeah.
What a silly guy.
Yeah, it's a silly, funny thing. Michael Venom Page had his UFC debut.
What a great
against
debut.
Kevin Holland.
Oh.
It was amazing. He was dancing. He was moving around like a snake.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland couldn't put anything on him. It was it was a masterclass in just how an elite striker, and just not just his striking, is his footwork.
Oh my God.
His footwork is incredible. He's just, whenever Kevin went after him, he was nowhere to be seen. Like, he was just moving all around the ring, and Kevin was swinging at air for most of it. He was getting frustrated. He was trying to grab him, going for takedowns. Every time he lunged at him, he would just disappear. It was almost like Michael Venom Page was some kind of magician.
Yeah. At the end of round one, Kevin Holland's corner is trying to give him advice. And Kevin Holland, he's the only one I know who argues with his corner, like mid-fight. It's like a common thing. And so the guy's just telling him some advice, check the leg, land these punches. And Holland goes, he's not there, man. He's not there. And there was another funny moment at the beginning of round 3. It's pretty common. Fighters come out and they touch gloves at the beginning of. Usually, beginning of the fight's pretty standard. You don't have to, but pretty standard. Some guys do it every round, and so Kevin Holland comes out, and you can only see it. I slowed it down so I could see. He comes out to touch, and Venom Page from across the octagon leaps, lands a huge right hand, and this crazy trip in like less than a second. Holland goes down. He's like, what? Come on, dude. I was trying to...
Yeah. So he actually let him... So he actually, in good sportsmanship, he let him up and he apologized.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
But still, a huge right hand was landed. So I'm sure he was rocked. I'm sure he was hurt. Yeah. But funny, good sports.
Yeah. In the post-fight interview, he said he didn't know that's what was happening.
Yeah.
He just saw the hands going up. And he thought, okay, we're fighting. And then once Kevin said that, he said, oh man, sorry, I'm so sorry, sorry. That was not my intention. I'm not trying to get cheap points. I can win on regular points.
Because there has been times in the past where someone's like, yeah, we'll touch. Gotcha. Which is legal, it's within the rules.
It is legal, but it's dirty.
Nobody likes it.
Yeah,
it's not
dirty.
sportsmanly. Yeah.
It's dirty. Yeah, man. That was good. Francis Ngannou, we haven't talked in a while, guys. So Francis Ngannou was put out by Joshua. I just hope his knee is okay.
Yeah, he fell down in a very... How do you say? His leg was like twisted.
Yeah, twisted and
fell
kind of
down on it.
Overextended. So he fell back.
Fell down out cold.
Yes.
He got flatlined. He got starched.
Yes. So,
pretty quick, right? Round 2?
Yeah, it was round 2.
Oh my God.
So, and that was the third knockdown. So he'd already been knocked down twice before that. Just obviously outclassed in this. And I think hopefully Francis can continue. He still wants to continue boxing. He should go do the more of a conventional route where he's not just fighting world champions. As an amateur boxer coming in, I don't
Yeah, him fight Jake Paul.
Him fighting world champions is not great. Yeah, fighting Jake Paul, I'd be down for that.
It comes in 100 pounds bigger.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I'd actually rather Francis fight Jake Paul than Mike Tyson. I don't want to see anything happen to Mike Tyson, but hopefully he's doing all the supplements, and he's. I don't think training hard seems like it would be out of question for him. I just worry about his age.
Yeah.
Yeah, his age is a factor. Jake Paul is in his prime. Not even. He's approaching his prime. He's 27 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Mike Tyson is about to turn 58. Right. So he'll be 58 at the time of that match. So I hope it's. But I don't know what the rules are. So I don't know if they have like this gentleman's agreement, like when Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr. in this last match. I think they had like a no knockout clause, which I don't know how you enforce that.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
I don't know how you enforce that, but yeah, maybe it's something like that. The fight doesn't make sense to me. Why Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul? Maybe they've had some back and forth before, and Tyson wants to give it another go. I mean, Tyson is not undefeated, so it's not like, say, Floyd Mayweather that could taint his record.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see it, but I will see it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So Francis Ngannou getting knocked out. That was the first time he got knocked out in his career. One concern I have is that he already has an MMA fight. I don't know if it's booked, but like it's set up. He has a contract with the PFL. PFL recently did an event because PFL bought Bellator. So they had a pretty cool event that nobody saw where the Bellator champions fought the PFL champions.
Yes.
And the heavyweight winner was guaranteed a shot against Francis Ngannou. And this was before Ngannou got knocked out, right? And so the PFL champion, I don't know his name, a terrifying Brazilian man, came out
let me see if I can find
and
it.
starched. Yeah, there it is.
Renan Ferreira.
Renan Vera, starched Ryan Bader.
Ryan Bader.
What's the time? Can you slide over, see how long it took?
It was round one.
20 seconds in round one.
Yeah.
So that's who Ngannou has a fight against coming up.
Yes.
And I don't think a date's set, but like it's set up. This guy is waiting for Ngannou, and Ngannou just got knocked out. And we've seen this before. We just saw Volkanovski. We've seen it many times in the past. And dude gets knocked out, and he wants to come back, get redemption, prove something. And I hope Ngannou takes, I don't know if I made this up or if I heard it, but like 6 months without sparring makes sense to me.
Yeah, which means that it's not gonna be a fight anytime soon. Let me see.
Yeah, which would put a fight at like 8 months minimum, right? That's 6 months break, 2-month camp. I think that's reasonable. Especially Ngannou, man, he just made $20 million, which I was trying to think, maybe you have some insight into this, like $20 million like invested into Cameroon, like, because we've seen Ngannou. He grew up in this very, very poor area. He goes back to his I don't even know the right words. His family's hut, dirt floor, thatched roof. I can only imagine like him putting like $1 million into that community. Like, what could that even mean?
It would go very far.
Yeah, like plumbing. Like it's just something that we take for granted that would just raise everybody. Like sanitation. I don't even know. Like I can't even imagine.
I don't think he has
airport?
any immediate money concerns, but I do think he probably. Yeah. I'm sure that his lifestyle has picked up to a certain amount that
his fashion has gotten incredible.
He's
always looking great.
He's always looking great. He drives around in a Rolls Royce.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I mean the $20 million is not going to go as far as it used to when he started.
Right.
But it can still go far. He doesn't necessarily need to have any more money worries, but I think he also wants greatness.
Yeah.
But he seems to be concentrating on boxing. He seems to be
Kind of
concentrating on
unfortunate.
boxing. Unfortunate for us as MMA fans, but as a prize fighter in boxing, if you're tip of the spear in boxing, you're going to be making more than in MMA.
Right.
Which, as a prize fighter, your whole goal is that prize.
Sure. But who would it even be in boxing now? He fought the two biggest heavyweights.
Yeah, he would have to go.
So what? Tyson Fury again?
Tyson Fury. There's Wilder, who's another knockout artist.
Okay.
There's a few guys that are in the heavyweight division that would probably outclass Ngannou. Ngannou showed some good boxing, good strategy in the Tyson Fury fight, but that was for Tyson Fury, and maybe a better prepared Tyson Fury might beat Ngannou as well. So we don't really know.
A rematch there makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be good money. I just want him to see it. I just hope he fights John Jones, you know? And so the path to that is back to MMA. He already has that bout with Henan Fier. That scary man.
Fier, which, he
Vera.
looks very scary.
It's terrifying.
He looks very scary.
And to be fair, I've only seen that one clip. But we know Ryan Bader's a legit 45-year-old man. He was Bellator champion. He's been around forever. But he got knocked out real quick.
Yeah, he was undefeated in Bellator. So,
really?
Yeah. He was on a streak in Bellator.
He lost a lot in the UFC.
Yeah.
You know, for contrast.
Yes. I think there is also. They don't test. I don't think they have the same stringent testing in Bellator, because Bader looked great for all of these matches. Like him walking in, he looked, because he was a light heavyweight in the UFC.
Right.
In Bellator, he's a heavyweight,
I see.
and he looks big and ripped.
Juicy.
He looks really good in Bellator. I don't know, but he is also an older guy.
He's
I think he's probably going to hang it up pretty soon.
I hope so.
Yeah, he's had a long time going, but I don't know what is the future for Francis. I would love to see him do more MMA.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been years though since he has. And this
when
knockout.
was his last fight? Stipe?
I think
He beat Stipe.
I think so.
Amazingly. It was incredible. Yeah, and I think that was it. I think he walked away after that.
Last MMA fight.
Yeah, and Francis, he's not a young man. Getting starched by Anthony Joshua.
2022, Cyril Gane.
Oh, he beat Cyril Gane, right?
2022. So it's been 2 years since he's fought. Actually, January. So that's like 3 years.
That's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 2.
2 years, 2 months.
Yes. It's been a long time. So it seems like, but this knockout is a big concern for me.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It's a brutal
brutal
sleeping knockout.
Yeah.
I think Manny Pacquiao took a year off after getting brutally slept. Can Francis, in his new contract, take another year off? And after another year off, can he match with John Jones after a year off, being knocked out and concentrating on another sport?
Yeah, it's hard, man. He's in a tough spot. But $20 million in the bank.
That's a good problem.
Legions of fans around the world. He's got all of Africa behind him, I think.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
He's got our support.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, we haven't addressed just jiu-jitsu in a long time, and there's not really much jiu-jitsu news. Jiu-jitsu is not there's not a lot of news popping in jiu-jitsu, but we have some insights as guys that have been training for a long time, and we also have the insight of Chris Wojcik, the Grappler's Diary. Great publication. We are so whenever we see some of his posts, we like to talk about it online. Shout out to him.
Yep.
But what we're talking about today is fitness habits to stay healthy in jiu-jitsu. Now, jiu-jitsu is a game where you're trying to choke somebody, or you're trying to bend whatever wherever this goes, you bend it the opposite way.
Yeah.
So your elbow bends this way, let's bend it the other way. Bend this too far. Bend. You're just trying to bend things until they hurt or break or go to sleep.
Yeah.
And because that is the game, it requires a lot of durability. You need a lot of durability to have longevity doing this, whether you're a hobbyist or if you're trying to go for the gold. Durability is the number one thing, because not training is, and taking months off for injury is going to be your biggest obstacle in any improvement.
Yeah. And I don't want to jinx us or toot our own horn too much, but me and Tarek were high-level brown belts without consistent nagging injuries. We almost never take time off training. We're very consistent. We don't train a lot, but when we go around, we do well. We have proven ourselves to be competent, and we're not injured, you know? Almost all the guys that I trained with before, they got knee surgeries, they got shoulder surgeries. They have these crazy things, and it's kind of a joke where I'm like, oh, how are you feeling? They go, you know, everything hurts. Yeah, it's like, I don't think that's funny, man. That's terrible.
I will say, I do sometimes get injured, but I'm very good for just saying, like, say, for example, a couple weeks ago, my back was hurting. We're rolling, and in the middle of everything, I just said, okay, I'm done. I'm done sorry. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
I go home, put ice on it, and
A lot of people can't do
and I
that.
take the time, and I come back, and now I feel fine. Yeah. That is gone. I don't want to endure the pain for something that could possibly build up. Yeah, some guys cannot do it.
Yeah.
Some guys need to fight through the pain, as it's an ego thing. And I can understand. To yourself, you want to show that you're tough. This is a tough game, and you don't want to feel like you're some wuss that, oh, my finger hurts, and then you just stop playing just because something little hurts. But
he's talking about me. On Wednesday, I hurt my finger, and I almost stopped training, but I wrapped it.
But even that, it's good. Like you have to do that if you wanna last long. I've come up with a lot of guys that they train through pretty serious injury when you don't necessarily need to be. And you don't need to be here today. You don't need to be here tomorrow. You have nothing coming up. So I'm kind of jumping the list, but for me, the most important thing to be healthy and to be able to train is that you stop when you're hurt.
Best thing for training is to not train.
Yes, sometimes the best thing for training is to not train. When something hurts, it takes time to rest it, and you don't come back until it feels okay.
Yeah.
Like you come back, like, oh, my ankle hurts, I come back, it still hurts. Yes, you gotta stop. I mean, there are some things that will kind of nag you. Just getting older, there are certain things that will be injured and things that will creep up. But there's a difference between kind of like what am I trying to say here? There's a difference between something that's like pain is radiating from your knee, and you really are getting all signs that you need to stop, but you want to keep pushing because you think that you're going to get something new from this session that you would not get from resting.
I think a lot of people live with fear of like someone saying something bad about them, you know? So like someone saying like, oh, you're hurt? You want to take a break? Something like that, right? Some sort of bully in your head.
Yeah.
You got people in your life. You know, one of the worst things that I've heard about Jiu-Jitsu is this everyday pohada idea. I don't think people are saying it so much these days, but a couple years ago, Buchecha came out and said that everyday pohada being like train full blast, go as hard as you can, every day. And immediately I was like, that's a terrible idea. Like, don't do that. Yes. And I know some people who you know, hashtag everyday pohada, they wear it on shirts, and they're always hurt. They're just injured. and they just think that's the only way.
Yeah.
And I kind of doubt myself in this way sometimes, like, oh, maybe we're like behind the curve, maybe these people are going to blow past us in terms of skill. And there are some people who have done that, right? I think Joseph Chen trains every day, and he's blown us out of the water in terms of skill. My buddy Keith Krikorian, he trains super hard. He's blown us out of the water in terms of skill. But in terms of like Taiwan people, like we're right up there, right? We're keeping pace, we're healthy, and we can train. I don't know about harder, but like some of these people, it's like, oh, please don't touch my neck. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
That's not full
I think
jiu-jitsu.
most good guys, they will find a way to train. Even if they do train every day, they're not going to train hard every day. And I think you can if you want. I'm not a. Even if I had the time, I don't think I would train every day, just because it's just too hard on me.
Yeah.
But I think that if you do find a way, like this arrangement that we have is great, where I could say to Marshall, man, let's just flow today. Let's just and we can do that.
Always okay.
So
yeah,
if that's a possibility where you don't have to be in a room with 20 other unknown guys where everybody's trying to win, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And what I do is if I'm not going to train today, I'll go to the weight room where I control everything. I control how hard it goes. No, the weight is not going to suddenly pull my arm this way or put it in a position that I was not planning for.
And you're good at weights where you're not like setting personal best deadlift.
No, I'm not doing.
Like,
I'm not
you're
doing
not posting things.
No, I'm not doing personal.
Not trying
bests.
to impress people.
No, I'll have days where I go heavy, where I just think, okay, today, yeah, I think I could do more. I think I could do more, and I will do more those days. I mean, I still lift heavy, but it's not. I don't do. Yeah, I'm not going for personal bests very much. I'm trying to stay in shape. I'm just trying to stay in shape, trying to look good, and I do it completely for vanity. So.
Nice.
Sleeping is a very important.
Oh.
How much sleep are you getting? Are you getting 8 hours?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I try to be like winding down 10 hours before I wake up.
Yeah.
In bed 9 hours before. I'm not super quick to fall asleep, so usually it's 9 hours before I want to wake up. I'm in bed, usually listen to something, and that's usually 8.5 of pretty good sleep.
That's
Yeah.
good. I don't get. I'm probably at about 7. I don't have a problem falling asleep though, so I'm lucky.
You don't drink crazy amounts of tea
No,
all day?
I don't drink tea all day. I don't drink tea all day and be like, why can't I sleep? Why can't I sleep? My wife is this way too. She'll say she doesn't understand why she can't sleep. But we have like a coffee machine that's always going at home,
really?
and I enjoy coffee, but
me too.
after 4 o'clock, if I drink it, I know that this is gonna keep me awake a little bit longer.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, I try to do it early, and I try to get sleep. Luckily, I don't have trouble sleeping. I do snore. I should probably get that addressed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What can you do about that?
I think there's, from what I've seen,
little tape on the nose?
No, there's a mouthpiece that you can wear that kind of pulls your jaw forward. And I've heard of laser surgery, but I don't know. Laser surgery where it's in your sinuses, but I don't know how or if that works. Yeah. I've heard about this.
Yeah, don't rush into that.
Yes, my dad did surgery. I remember this when I was a kid. My dad did surgery for this.
Back in the day?
Way back in the day, but
before lasers.
Before lasers, where they take a knife to your throat. But it didn't really help with snoring that much. So.
Yeah, well, what's the benefit? Is snoring like not good sleep or something?
Yeah, it reduces your sleep quality. It causes you to wake up. And you're just not getting all the oxygen you need, so you're kind of depriving yourself of oxygen. And so sleeping in certain positions, I'm better. Certain nights are worse than others, but yeah, usually if I'm sleeping on my side or on my belly, it's a little bit better. But I do try to get to sleep on time. I think in Taiwan, in Taipei especially, when I ask people, 2 o'clock is like the general falling asleep time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've gotten out of that. I don't do the 2 o'clock sleeping anymore. I try to be in bed falling asleep at like 12 is pushing it. I try to be in by 12. I mean, I do work late. I do work in the evening, so I can't necessarily just come home and just throw myself into the bed. It takes a little while to wind down.
Especially being in a city, right? The city kind of buzzes until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a very
You got some alone time.
Yeah, it's a very lively city.
Watching a screen kind of pushes back bedtime capabilities. So that's why, for me, it's 12, shut everything off. Listening to something is, I'm in the dark. Because screens on the eyes, they say you need an hour after a screen to realistically get to sleep. And these days, man, how do you pull yourself off of a screen? It's getting harder and harder.
The screens are.
They look so good. They're so beautiful.
Yes. Creatine. Now, this creatine is. I don't know. Creatine. I've looked into creatine quite a bit. I've taken creatine off and on for, especially more so in the past couple of years. When I was in university, I was taking creatine for a bit. So I do take it off and on. I do notice a difference. They say it has cognitive benefits, makes your body feel better. I do notice it in lifting a little bit. When I first get on it, I notice a difference, but then after I don't really notice it. I'm not a super sensitive person when it comes to supplements though. So a lot of things I don't I take them and it doesn't feel any different.
Yeah.
So
Creatine's become one of the most recommended supplements. It's cheap. I'll say it's from my experience, when I got on it, I got way hungrier. So I just started eating a lot more, which I don't know exactly what's up with that, but it felt right. I put on a couple kilograms of muscle for the first time in my life.
it makes you retain water better. So it's supposed to be good for your brain, but there are some people that don't respond to it. So there are some non-responders. I think with any substance, there are some people that are just non-responders to this substance.
They say creatine, it's cheap enough just to try.
Yeah.
See how you feel.
It's very cheap.
Yeah.
It's very cheap. Creatine monohydrate is what I would recommend, even though I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not.
But you do have a YouTube show.
Yes, I am on the internet. So. This guy says strength training 3 times a week. I think that's perfect. I think 3 times is perfect. I like to, if I have the time, I'll do 4 to 5 times a week. But generally I'm doing 3 times a week, and I've been strength training off and on since probably 18, and I think it's been a huge benefit to me. Just it's kept me in shape, and I'm fairly injury free. You know, I have some nagging things that go years back, but I don't have any major injuries. I walk and I move well, and
you're not what we call a young man.
no, I'm not a young man. So. I'm not a young man, so yeah. I think to me, strength training has been it's like my number one activity that for health.
Yeah, my mom just started.
Above anything, yeah.
My mom just started twice a week strength training.
Nice.
She can do it. Maybe I should start.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like there's never a time when you wish you were not as strong as you were. Like there's never a point in where strength is a bad thing. Yeah. Like you look at even things that you wouldn't consider just brute strength, like ballet, figure skating, gymnastics. Those guys don't look maybe gymnasts. They look pretty muscular, but generally
crazy strong.
Like say a ballerina doesn't look super strong, but that's actually just brute strength that you're seeing there. So it doesn't.
I had one. My first kettlebell instructor was a contortionist, and she was telling me that contortion, which is like crazy flexibility, putting your feet behind your head. She said it's all strength. I still can't quite wrap my head around it, but it's something like strength, lets your body know that it can do these crazy things and be all right. Like it's sending messages. It's something like that. I don't quite get it.
There's a huge this is strange to there's like a neurological point to strength as well. Like for example, if I stop, if I, s- I've there's been times where I've stopped lifting weights for like say a year, where I would notice that I see the muscle loss, right? But I might go back and I start lifting again, and I am lifting much heavier than say a beginner, just because I know how to push that weight. Like I know how to engage my body in a certain way to send the strength to this joint, which is, it's strange to say, but this is like there's a mental part of strength as well, which is like the difference with say power lifters and bodybuilders. Bodybuilders are also strong, but power lifters, they have this explosiveness, and they've already trained to send power to this one spot, which is, it takes time to learn. It's almost like a meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay healthy, don't get hurt.
Yeah.
What else? What else? Any other advice?
I recommend drinking tea. I don't know why, but it seems to keep my life on track. If you want some good tea, let me know. I can hook you up.
This is the
I know a guy.
The tea expert.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
I think we're about out of time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is anybody watching? If you are, thank you.
Yeah, I always
If you are,
say
subscribe.
rest.
friend.
Rest is very important.
Rest is everything, man.
Rest is important. Know when to pull back, know when to stop, know when to take a break.
Yeah.
Missing a class is not a big deal, despite what anybody says. You can miss months and go back, and it's not recommended. But
Yeah, missing months is where I get nervous.
It's not
habits
recommended.
are huge.
Habits are huge, but you have to heal. So healing is the most important thing.
Yes.
You'll get that time back.
And tea heals.
All right. Taipei BJJ, Marshall Stamper, Tarek Finn, thank you.
Os.
Doot, 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 doot.